Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the fieldwork guidelines. I have a copy of them brought up right here, but if you go to our website, our course site, it's right here, fieldwork guidelines. And I just want to explain to you what sort of research you have to be, like how you have to demonstrate that you've done these different types of research. So, of course, for next Friday, the first two things you have to do include the library research and internet research, which is in the form of photography, videos, and audio. You have to, like I said in the previous video that I talked about how to conduct scholarly research, you have to find two pieces, either journal articles or books, any combination of the two. And you must also, along with that, this is how you demonstrate to me that you did this assignment. You're going to submit a works cited page that is properly formatted according to MLA style. And then, that way I can look up what the sources are that you found. And if you need assistance doing MLA style, Chapter 12 of the Curious Writer gives you the details on that. You can also probably use something like easybib.net. And I will post a more simplified a more simplified worksheet of those guidelines, so that hopefully that can make it easier for you. But just so you know, that has to be in the proper MLA format. Photography, video, and audio, the way that you're going to demonstrate this is you are going to submit the URLs for each piece in your portfolio. I'm calling the portfolio this collection of photos, video, and audio. I don't really care how you combine those different elements, but I do want you to find 5 total of photos, video, audio. And I'm also going to ask that you don't just find photos. You should also find other, either video or audio as well. I think the more video and audio, the better, because I can get more specific. But of course, photography is really helpful too. So that's what you want to be searching for. I think this will be an interesting part of the project. It'll maybe get your ideas going some more. It's easy to find photos. Really, you just have to type in a topic in Google and then hit images. And then of course, videos, you can find on YouTube and like National Geographic and Netflix has a bunch of documentaries. Audio, you can check the National Public Radio website, NPR. They have a lot of good interviews, depending on the topic that you're looking for. So find 5 of these. List the URLs for me on a piece of paper. Preferably, type it so that it has, well, obviously you're online, so you'll have to type it, but it'll have the hyperlink so I can click on it and see what you found. And then the other thing is, for 3 of the pieces, you need to explain what you see. So similar to what your artifact explanations will be, you should analyze what the photograph, video, audio reveals about the practices, values, ideas of the culture that you're studying. 250 words is not long, but I just want you to think about, why did you find that? What is the meaning of that? How is that going to help you with this project? So that's going to be for next Friday. I'm going to just go through the rest of the assignments so you know what I'm expecting you to hand in, and then we may be doing more, activities or practices for each type of research as we go. The field notes are due, it's the next research deadline. And if you look in the Curious Writer on page 368, 369, it gives you an example of how to keep your field notes. Again, you want to go to a place, and you can do observation one of 2 ways. You could either be a passive observer, where you're just watching and you're not participating, or you could be an active observer where you are in the middle of the party or the meeting or whatever, and you're, speaking up and participating. Just be aware of how each of those types gives you a different perspective. If you're a passive observer, you may get different information than if you're engaging the people in conversation. You may witness things as a passive observer that you might not see if they know that you're like observing them and wanting to find out things. But I leave it up to you to choose how you would like to do that. But anyways, with your field notes, you should have the two columns. One column you're writing down just what you're observing, and then on the other side, jot down like ideas that come to mind or conclusions you can draw, or just anything else that comes to your mind. Again, if you check out the model in the book, it will give you some more details on how to do that. And before you go into your field work, you don't necessarily have to write out anything like you will for the interview, but think about like what kind of things are you searching for? What do you want to see? What are some key aspects of the event, practice, or object? What are people doing? How do they, or why do they do that? How do they do that? How does what they are doing provide a sense of meaning, purpose, etc., etc.? There are more questions in the book on page 365 you can also look at. I would just take time to reflect on those before you go into this environment and sit down and start taking notes, because that will help you gain a better focus. The way you're going to demonstrate your field notes to me is through typing them up, and I'd like you to type up both your columns, so the observations you've made as well as the ideas that have come from that. I said 750 words. Really I just want that to be a mark for you to aim for, because I want to make sure you spend enough time observing and that you're thorough in what you're writing. If you're a little bit short on that, or if you go over it, that's not as critical of a concern. I'm just giving you something to aim for, because I want to make sure your field notes don't just take 5 minutes. I want you to sit there for a good 30 minutes or so observing, or longer. Now, I did put a footnote here. Again, I'll be finding out all your topics next week, Wednesday. If you're picking a culture that you really can't go to observe anybody, like you're studying Australian cricket or something, you can't go to Australia between now and whenever this is due, the September the 9th. You still need to do the field notes as an assignment. So you can just pick a place. You could go to the local restaurant, you could go wherever, to an event of some sort. Do the same activity, and that's just going to be simply for the grade in the class. It's a good practice to be involved in, and you'll learn from it. So, but that's only if it's impossible for you to access whatever culture you're studying. If I find that your topic does allow you to access that culture and you don't pursue that, that will definitely be a strike against you. So if you have questions on that, like I can't think of anything I could do for my field notes relating to my topic, just email me and maybe I can help you come up with some ideas for that. Okay, and then artifacts is the next deadline, I think. Okay, the artifacts and the field notes are due on the same day. I put those together because often when you visit a place to observe, that may be the time to collect your artifacts too. I want you to collect 3 of them, and I said I want you to hand in the objects, but if you cannot borrow these objects, obviously, you can still take notes on them. I do want you though to bring in 3 physical objects. So, you know what? I'm sorry. For this class, you guys are online. Never mind. What I'd like you to do instead, because obviously you're not going to bring anything into class, is gather your artifacts. Some of the examples I put down there: coins, pamphlets, clothing, jewelry, tools, etc. What I'd like you to do is take photos, okay? You can just ignore that. You may submit 1 photograph of an artifact. Take photos of whatever it is that you have collected, and that's what you'll have to show me to demonstrate that you've done this. And then the second half of this assignment is you must also do a 250-word explanation of what each artifact reveals about that culture. Just like you did with, what was that with? Oh, the photo, video, and audio. Okay, so the same with that. Remember that when you're looking for artifacts, the purpose is so that you have a physical connection to the culture. You want to examine them, you want to look at the details, you want to think about why would this artifact express this person's culture, why is it significant? So that's what you're doing with the artifacts. So one more time, just 3 artifacts, please photograph them. You're going to submit that to me along with a 250-word explanation for each artifact. If you have issues with artifacts for any reason, please talk to me. I think everybody has phones with cameras, so you should be able to do that. If not, if you don't have a camera. Okay, and then the last assignment is going to be due on the 16th, the interview. I did tell you originally in the guidelines to do 2 interviews. I still want you to do that. I will be grading you on 1 interview. So obviously I'm giving you that freedom to do what you want with the second interview. I strongly recommend you do follow up or interview a second person, because that's going to really add to your paper. I do have a handout for the interview. In fact, I'll post that in next week's time slot, so that if you really want to see the information I have for that, because you may be interviewing somebody like really soon, feel free to do that. I was going to wait until maybe next week to just go through that with you and do an activity in relation to that. But I'll post it for you. It kind of tells you how to start the interview and what to say and how to also structure questions. So what I will be collecting from you is a typed transcript, and this ought to include your questions as well as the answers. I would say you should have a minimum of 15 questions, and as you'll see on my handout, they're not the sort of questions that are going to be yes/no questions. That's just a rough estimate. I would recommend a good interview should take at least 20 minutes, if not 30 minutes. It can be a little uncomfortable interviewing, especially if the person you're talking to is not a talker. You have to try to prompt them a bit. But in any case, use the guidelines that I give you on the other handout I'm going to post if you are intending to interview somebody relatively soon. But that's what I'll be collecting from you, is that typed transcript for your assignment. Okay, here I am again. So that was a lot. It's a lot of detail. I wanted you to know what the requirements are, though, so that as you start working on these things, you know what you're aiming to do. So again, let me know if you have questions, and I will continue to do some activities with you as these deadlines approach, so that I can help you understand a little bit better how to do these things well. So that's it for now. Good luck.